Do you watch midget wrestling?
I have never seen it in real life.
Oh my God, you have to go to one. Oh my. So dude, the midget wrestling, okay? Like these guys, crazy.
What's up? This is Gardy with Clear Life Combat. I have Marcus Rambaran here in studio. We're going to be talking about his fight. It just happened with Elevate, and we're going to be going into everything that he has coming up in the future. What's up, Marcus? How's it going?
How's it going?
Man, so first things first, let's talk a little bit about your fight. You had a fight, Elevate Fight Night 2.
Yeah.
You got the victory. How did that feel? Because that was your debut, right?
Yeah, it was my amateur debut. It was very exciting, you know. A lot of nerves, a lot of, you know, anxiousness leading towards the fight, but, you know, I expected to win, but the way I won was very, very just surreal because everything I worked for, you know, the whole camp, it all came out in 2 minutes and 36 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, were you expecting to get a submission, or going into it, were you leaning one way or the other? What were you feeling?
So I knew genuinely that I was going to get a submission win. Now, you know, I did have my opponent change 4 times, you know, throughout the whole camp. So, you know, every person I got, I'm trying to game plan it. But, you know, this last guy who took it on a 2-week notice, you know, I really felt like, you know what, I'm going to take it to the ground and just finish.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's a lot of things that we work on in camp. And I just know that I stick to my strengths, which is jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Is that what you started with first?
No, actually. I started striking. I thought I was a striker until I figured out what jiu-jitsu was. And once I learned that and did some wrestling, I really just like gravitated towards it because I had a football background. So playing football, being on defense, tackling, like it kind of correlated with wrestling, but not really. But once I learned what it was and being able to use that muscle memory, I guess you would say, I mean, it just came natural.
Yeah.
And then jiu-jitsu was like, you know, it's like a chess game, you know, and like being able to use more of your mind instead of, you know, getting punched, getting hit all the time. Because, you know, I just didn't know until I started training.
One thing that stuck out to me, so after you got the win, you went up to the camera and you did this thing. It was like you had a gun. You're like, just, and you went to a couple cameras. Tell me about the celebration.
Okay, so I don't know if y'all seen this movie. It's called Full Metal Jacket. It was made like in the late 80s, and it's like a, you know, movie based on like, you know, Army and Marines and like Vietnam era. And basically it was like this scene where this commanding sergeant was in a helicopter. He had the machine gun and he's get some. And I'm just like, in my head, I was like, that's funny. And literally as soon as I won, I was like, y'all come get some. Like,
yeah.
And, you know, it just came out.
Was that something planned or no? That's just what popped in your head, or you thought about it?
Honestly, so my original plan was to jump on the cage and try to get someone to throw me a beer so I could chug a beer. But before, you know, we had the fight, like it was like the rules and regulations. And one of the rules was you cannot jump on the cage or jump out the cage. And so immediately that just left my mind. I was like, all right, just focus on the fight. You know, don't worry about celebrating because, you know, in my head I pictured it. But as soon as I heard that, I was like, all right, like, you know, I don't want to get disqualified. So,
right.
You know.
And you see those people, they do it anyway. And then you'll have the commission, and you'll see they're like, hey, get down. And I guess I understand why it's probably a good rule to have. But people they're just like, I'm just going to do it anyways.
I mean, it's just like the adrenaline, the moment, especially if you finish in a crazy way. Like you knock someone out. Like I can't tell you how I would react, you know, when I'm able to knock somebody out in a fight. But I would think that the adrenaline is what, you know, is that make or break. Like, all right, I'm going to do it, or like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. We'll get somebody to toss you and elevate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll chug whatever, you know.
That's awesome. Hey, how soon are you looking to fight again?
So I actually signed up for the submission series in June. And then after that, look for another fight, you know, coming in August, September.
Yeah. Talk about the first time that you competed for Elevate Submission Series. I saw that match, and I think we made a highlight of it, but it was, man, that was a crazy, I guess, walk us through what happened and then what was also going through your head in that whole thing.
So I've never done like a pro submission match. Like, you know, I've only done like, you know, jiu-jitsu competitions, and I did like a Muay Thai kickboxing match, but like it was pretty surreal too, because, you know, the nerves, the big stage, the lights, and, you know, performing in front of like a whole group of people is what really, you know, was like the first initial way to step in, you know, towards the MMA career that I want to go to. But that performance that night was just, you know, it was awesome. I mean, I can't explain anymore. I mean, the guy I went against, he was really good. Bigger dude. He tried to do 3 different submissions on me. I got out of all the submissions and then turned around, took his back, choked him out in less than 2 minutes. So that was, you know, pretty outstanding for, you know, someone that was their first time. And, you know, the atmosphere too. Like it was just different, because one, like, you see little kids out there, and like the next 30 minutes you see just grown adults. And then, you know, the crowd, the atmosphere, it was very entertaining. And then being a part of it, you know, you're the entertainer. And so it was just very surreal, and I enjoyed it. I loved it, even though I actually celebrated too hard. I jumped off stage. I don't know if y'all remember that.
I do. I remember. Yeah.
So it's only because, so after so he took my back, and that's whenever he's trying to choke me in a rear naked choke, and he does not have it, right? He does not have it, but I hear everybody, like his whole gym or his whole people, they bought the whole section behind me, and they were like beating on the mats, yelling at me, saying all these things, and I'm like, y'all have no idea. Like, y'all have no idea, and they're like, oh, he's out, and I'm like this, I can breathe, like, you know, and then I'm able to get out of it. But once I finish him in the same rear naked choke, I kind of just lost it because the adrenaline, and I'm jumping up and down, I'm looking in the crowd, and I see my dad and my brothers, and so I just jump off stage, and I actually got hurt.
Oh, what happened?
I had a bruised heel bone and contusion in my foot.
The stage is high.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty high.
And then it's solid like ground. Yeah. So like, you know, and it wasn't like I jumped down, I like leaped.
Right.
So I like jumped forward, and you know, I was expecting the ground to be closer, and like I went like this, and then I was still in the air, and then I fell down on it, and I didn't feel it till like maybe 30 minutes later. But like that was a bad decision.
Yeah, that's why they don't want you to jump on the cage too. I'm pretty sure that's why they made those rules. These people kind of jump up there or try and backflip off or do something. And
okay, I'm not gonna. I've never hit a backflip a day in my life. Not gonna try it. You know what I mean? If I'm on a trampoline, maybe.
Yeah.
But at 26 years old, no.
Yeah. That your match at Elevate Submission Series was probably the biggest like turnaround of like any match that I've seen, and I've seen all of them and been at them. So
appreciate that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was fun. So I think the celebration, you know, even though you got hurt, I was like, it's warranted to celebrate like that. Like, hey, that was awesome.
Yeah, and you know, I've recovered clearly. You know, healed from that. But I learned my lesson. You know, like, you know, get the win, celebrate after.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it was very, very fun, and then, you know, I truly just enjoy it. You know, I do it for the love of competing, training, and everything that my coach taught me before, you know, he left this earth.
Yes. So yeah, what gym you train at, and then talk a little bit about
I train at Metro Fight Club.
Yeah. Why did you pick there?
So it was crazy. I used to train in my backyard, like with like my dad, and like he had like a buddy. They would just come, and like, you know, we would just hit pads in the backyard, whatever, right? And so like, you know, I'm posting on like my Snapchat and stuff like that, and one of my buddies, he was like, hey man, you should try this gym out. Like, you know, the coach is pretty legit, and you'll learn some stuff. And I was like, where's it at? He sent it to me. It's called Metro Fight Club. I was like, all right, I'll check it out. I go in that day, and, you know, there's this guy sitting in the chair watching the news. And, you know, I didn't know who he was, and that was, you know, my soon-to-be coach, Coach Saul Solis. And, you know, you look, and you go in there, and there's like a whole wall of just pictures from all the fighters that he's trained and all the people that he's like been with, coached, and won. You know, you've got world champions, you've got UFC legends, you've got just people in the regional scene, and like it's just a whole wall covered in just fighters that have accomplished something that merely no one else in this world can really say they can do, you know, with just stepping in the cage and winning a fight, no matter if it's amateur, pro, whatever. But yeah, and instantly I was like, man, this guy must be something. And you know, he was very, very hard, very old school. And but after the first day of learning just the minimum jiu-jitsu, learning how to hold pads, learning how to properly punch, learning how to properly kick, it just truly just showed me that I knew nothing, you know. And I told myself that I'm learn as much as I can.
Yeah.
And since then, like, you know, I was training with him, and you know, he actually turned my life around. You know, I wasn't the person I am today. You know, I would go out, you know, do stupid things, and he actually he pulled me aside one day, and this was a day that I'll never forget. It was a Saturday morning practice. I came in hungover, and he pulled me aside, and he was like, I don't know what you're doing or what you think you're doing, but you're not going to come in here and disrespect my gym. And if you want to train and be one of my fighters, whatever you're doing outside the gym, you cut it out. And so after that day, I cut everything off that I was doing. And I changed my life, changed my lifestyle, and eventually, you know, became a better person out of it. Not only that, just someone to overcome the things that I was going through at the time.
Yeah. You know, and you see that with martial arts, or having that discipline or that love, because it is like a family. You know, your gym, it's like it can be like a family, you know, and people actually care about each other.
It's a safe space too. Like, you know, like you go into the gym, you're not with your phone. You're not with anybody. You're just with the people that you're around. You're in the moment. Everything, like your problems, like are gone. Like, you know, every time I walk in the gym, I walk through the doors, I put my stuff down, whatever. I just throw my phone in my bag, and all my problems, no matter if it's a good day, a bad day, whatever, you know, you're in there and it's always going to be good. You know, you can get whooped. You can go into a bad sparring day, get whooped. You can go into a bad grappling day, get choked out a million times, but it's still like, it takes you to another place to where like, this is where I'm learning, this is where I'm growing, this is where I'm happy, you know. And no matter if, you know, you're still happy outside the gym, doesn't matter. But I just truly feel like the gym is a safe space. And, you know, once you're in there, you feel like just totally just detached from all of the stress and the problems of, you know, your regular day life.
Yeah, I was telling my wife about that. Just there was some stuff going on, or man, it's like, you know, COVID or just these, you know, not, you know, missing regular training and all that stuff. It can mess with you, you know, it messes with you. And then it's like, whenever you're trying to defend from a rear naked choke or getting hit in the head, you know, the other problems, you don't have time to think about that. And it's such a great way to release the stress of like, do I have enough money to pay my bills, or like, do I have enough time to get this done, or, you know, my boss wants me to do this, and these other things, they don't matter in that moment. And it's good to have that, I think. And if it's not martial arts, I don't know, if you're able to find something that can achieve that same thing, hey, go do it. Maybe it's reading a book, or writing, or drawing, or art, or other. But even that, I feel like there's still opportunities for those things to kind of creep in. You're like, oh, I'm doing this, but should I be working on A, B, C, D, or whatever? But there's no time whenever, like, you know, somebody's trying to crush you. There's no time to think about any problem other than, man, this was fun. It ends up being fun somehow.
And I want to piggyback on what you said about art, right? Like, martial, it's an art. And, you know, any type of art is an outlet for somebody, whether it's art, like you're drawing something, or culinary art, like you're cooking, martial art, or just any type of art that you do is in a way of expression and a way to let out, you know, what you're feeling in here. Because you got to be passionate about it. If it's art, you got to be passionate, or your art isn't going to be as good as you want it to be, you know, because any type of passion creates the force that you need to be great into something, you know, because you can, you know, put in half the work, half the effort, and you're going to get half the results. So, and that was one thing too that my coach always said, you know, you get in, you get out what you put in. So if you put all in, you're going to get a lot of it out.
You know, at Elevate Fight Night 2, did you have a chance to watch any of the other fights that night?
So, actually, no. You know, so like, I had another teammate, my boy Davor. He fought kickboxing fight. He was the second fight, And then I had another friend who I used to train with, and he was the fight like right after theirs. And but I was warming up the whole time,
Right?
and, like, you know, and so my corner man Jacob Silva, you know, he's legend in the game, you know, and he was there and he gave me a lot of experience, like, you know, like what you go through on the day of, you know. And so I'm warming up and like he's peeking. I was like, hey, is Dave out there? He's like, hey, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. He's like, keep warming up. And I'm like, all right, like, you know, and I'm just focused and, you know, and I'm getting my hands wrapped. And I'm like the 4th or 5th fight, I think. But I'm getting my hands wrapped and I see the first dude come in, busted nose. Like, you know, he looks like he didn't win. And I'm like looking and I'm like, all right, let's just not look at that guy. You know, and I have my headphones in and then another guy comes in and he looked like he didn't win either. I was like, you know, I was like, dang, like, you know, like these guys, you know, I was like, these guys really just fought back there, didn't they? And I'm like, you know,
So did anybody win?
I was like,
these two,
you know, and I'm like, you know, like, dang, like, you know, and so I'm getting my hands wrapped. I'm just trying to listen to some meditation music, just, you know, be calm. And, you know, I had a couple people back there, like, you know, they talked to me like, man, you got this, like, you know, and I knew I had it. And, but like I said, it's just the nerves. And plus when you're back there and you see just back and forth people that you just saw leave and come back and they didn't look like they won, or like, you know, it doesn't matter if they win or lose, but like, you know, like I said, one dude, he just came back all busted up. I was like, wow, like, you know, like that's real. And so that was like a mental thing, like, all right, like, you know, you gotta be prepared. And all of the fights before me went all 3 rounds. So in my head I was like, all right, like, be prepared to go all 3 rounds, you know. And but not like when it happened, I was like, wow, that was so fast. And then after me, I think there was like 2 other first round finishes, I believe. And then, like, you know, a couple more people were getting finishes in the second round. And, like, you know, it just got better, I guess.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it was pretty cool that I was able to set the tone like that because, you know, I was like very just like just taken back. I was like, wow, like that really just happened.
Yeah. It's pretty cool having someone like Jacob Silva, ton of experience, like legend, honestly. You know, and he has a fight coming up. I saw he had just posted a fight poster, another one coming up real quick.
Yes, he fights in June, I believe. And but yeah, he's trained at Metro Fight Club since I was there. And, you know, I grew up because I was already, like, you know, grown. But I started watching. He was actually the first MMA fight I went to go see, like in person, regional wise. You know, my coach would always talk about him, Adrian Yanez, Leo Mana, Michael Aswell, and like a couple other guys. But you know, those guys, man, they were just like light years ahead of me. And, you know, going with someone like that, training with him and training with all the guys that, you know, that are at Metro, like they're all like just cream of the crop. Like they're all from a different cloth. Like those guys are just on a different level. And like when we train, it's on a different level. And I can see that whenever I compete, because when I compete, I feel like I compete at a different level because of the people I train with. And those guys make me better, even though they whoop me, you know, time and time again, you know, but I keep getting better. You know, every time I go with them, I get better. I learn something. I try to learn something every time. And, you know, Jacob, he was a very, very big help on my fight. And, you know, he did a lot, helped me with the weight cut, you know, even though he's, you know, he's busy man. He's got a family, you know, he's got his own stuff going on. And, you know, he took a night from being with his family, his kids, because he has a newborn, to corner me in a fight, you know. And it made me feel, I'm like, man, like, you know, not only am I gonna win, you know, I gotta do something, you know, to make it worthwhile. And he was we were all happy, you know. He was like, man, you won the first round, man, your amateur debut. And so, I mean, it was really cool. And having someone like that in your corner just makes you feel like no one can touch you.
What, can you describe that feeling after, even with the submission series and with the MMA? I mean, which one was better? And is there anything that you've had in life that's comparable to those moments?
MMA. MMA, because like the submission series, like that's expected, right? You're expected to, you know, like go back and forth and, you know, submissions here and there. But an MMA fight, anything can happen. You know, I was actually talking to Adrian yesterday because, you know, I was showing him the fight because they were actually in Vegas doing some training with Diego Lopez for his fight coming up on the UFC 300. And so after, training, I, showed him the whole video, and we broke it down together. And he told me, he's like, man, like, weird stuff happens in a fight, like, you never know what's going to happen until it happens, but he's like, but anything can happen in a fight, so, and I was just blessed and grateful to be out of there with no injury, I was perfectly fine. And it was very, very surreal. I keep saying surreal, but like that's the only way I can describe it. But MMA, like that feeling there's nothing better than winning that, because that's what counts. Like in a fight, can you do this in a fight? Can you submit somebody in a fight? Can you knock somebody out in a fight? Can you go 3 rounds fighting somebody? And it takes a lot, because you gotta, it's a lot of heart, because some people just give up. Some people will just automatically just give up whenever they feel like they've had enough, or whenever they feel like they're losing the battle. And then some people, they're just dogs, and you'll see that, and it weeds out from amateur to pro, because guys that do amateur, we all do it for fun. We don't get paid, so it's all for fun, guts and glory. And as you go deeper into your career, guys will start weeding out the guys that are like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Or some guys are like, oh, like, yeah, this is what I want to do, and I want to be at the top of my level, top of my game.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
Was that the goal from the beginning, though? Like when you first walked into Metro?
Goal from the beginning was, hey, let's just, learn as much as we can to defend ourselves and, get in shape. Because I actually went into Metro like 20 pounds heavier than I am right now. I walked in at 165. And, now I walk around at a whopping 143 pounds maybe, So it's like, I changed my whole lifestyle, my diet, my working out, everything. But I always wanted to fight. Like I always wanted to, especially when I got there. Like when I got there and I saw the 2 big cages, he had to get a small cage for the amateurs and a big cage for the pros, and like being in there sparring and training, I'm like, man, like, I would love to be in here. I would love to do this. And, but life happens the way it does. And I didn't make my debut until 2 weeks ago. And I've been training for over 4 years. So, and originally I truly, truly didn't think that it would take me this long, but I'm glad that I took the time I needed to be not only just physically ready, but mentally, because it's all mental. Fighting is mental. It's 80% mental, 20% physical to me.
Yeah, you're talking about fighters getting weeded out, or the mental aspect even just now. And I would say after watching that submission series, the turnaround, because it's easy. Man, it's sunk in. Mm-hmm. And all that stuff, or whatever, letting, the submission attempts, like you could easily just let those go, hey, this is my way out. But, you deciding like, no, that's not it. And then,
I mean, the thing is that you don't train for weeks and weeks and go in there when you're hurt and when you're tired. Like you don't go through all of that just to tap, like we joke around about this in practice, but it's like, hey, like just go to sleep. Like, like it's a joke, but like in hints, it's like, hey, like, like why train? Why do all of this just to tap? I mean, unless you feel like you're about to snap your arm or your leg, of course, or like, but realistically, like, don't tap. There's always a way out. Just breathe, relax, try to focus on your training, revert back to your training. And some people, they don't train like that, mm-hmm. And you can't blame people. I mean, it is the way it is, but I mean, from the way we train at Metro, it's a whole different ballgame. And so that's why, like, when he had me in the rear naked, I was like, y'all have no idea. Like, y'all have no idea the people that literally choke me out, because their grip and their chokes and submissions 10 times different than the people that I've won against, and I don't feel like some people, they'd be like, I thought that was I'm like, no, man, I'm sorry. Like, like I've been choked up by UFC fighters that can really, really do something. So it's just a whole different ballgame.
Are you looking to? I know you said you're going to compete in the summer for submission series. What about in the cage?
Yeah, so cage, looking for a fight late August, early September, preferably, and then probably do another submission series before the holidays, maybe even get a fight in before the holidays, because you know no one really wants to fight during the holidays, and
Right.
my birthday's in December, so I kind of call that like a
You be trying to stay on weight with like all the holiday stuff.
man.
I mean, but these guys do it. These, you know, whenever they're pros and stuff, like you
Dude,
got to do it. Yeah.
That's another reason why, like, you know, I have so much respect for the guys that do this for a living. Like, you know, like I'm doing it for fun, for guts and glory, you know, just to, you know, live in the moment. But there's guys that have dedicated their lives to this, like, you know, like the people that came before me, you know, and the people that are still actively fighting and training, that they do this for a living. And, you know, I give them all the credit, because they make weight when they don't want to, and when they feel like they can't. You know, they go to the fight camps, they take every fight that they're approached with, and that's a different mentality. Like, you know, I can speak on what I've been through so far, but they have just a mountain of experience and just different type of adversity. You know, like those guys, like they're just different, and they make it look so easy though. And it really makes you think like, wow, like I may not be as tough as I think I am, because these guys do it without any hesitation, without any type of complaining, without any type of nothing. Like, you know, you get not a peep out of those guys. They do what they got to do and they get out.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And it really makes you admire someone like that. Like, wow, like you're a regular human being, but you do irregular things. Like you do things that not a lot of humans can do.
Mm-hmm. What about outside of fighting? What all do you have going on?
Well, I'm a full-time college student at University of Houston Clear Lake. I'm in the kinesiology program for pre-occupational therapy. And then other than that, you know, I'm a real estate agent, licensed Texas notary. And I'm also a full-time son and grandson. You know, I live with my grandparents, and, you know, they're really good people, love them to death. And they're actually people that brought our family over here. So, you know, first generation being born here, having all the opportunities that I have, you know, I'm just grateful.
What ethnicity are you?
So I'm Puerto Rican and Trinidadian.
Okay.
My dad's from St. Croix, my mom's from Puerto Rico. Both my grandpas are from Trinidad, and then both my grandmas are from Puerto Rico. And actually, both my grandpas, they were brought over here like through the same mutual friend. So
cool.
my families have known each other for like their whole lives.
Yeah, that's cool. You know, I guess even seeing like, you know, parents and grandparents and the, you know, the struggles and the success that they have, there's a lot of pride, I'm sure, that can develop.
I mean, you know, like my grandpa, my dad's dad, you know, he was a legend to me. I mean, like he schooled me up on a whole lot of stuff, especially about our culture and stuff. And he actually was like the first person to put me on like wrestling. Like, you know, he loved wrestling, and like, you know, that's what we would like do on like Saturday nights over there at
The
my
pro
dad's.
wrestling, or like
pro wrestling,
Let's
like the
go.
WWE.
Yeah.
Like we'd have the mattress out in the living room, practice our moves, DDTs, you know, all that other stuff. And he actually took us to our first and only wrestling when they came to Houston. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever, because, like, you know, I see wrestling on TV and I'm like, oh my God, like these guys are crazy. Like, you know, they're jumping off of the high ropes, they're hitting each other with ladders and chairs, you know. And you know, my grandpa, he liked it because it was very entertaining and theatrical, you know. And seeing guys like that, I'm like, man, like, you know, people can do that in MMA, like, you know, being theatrical, being, you know, very entertaining to where people just want to watch you.
right.
And, you know, I think I like trying to take some of that, incorporating and, you know, what I do.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes like these guys in pro wrestling, which I grew up watching it as well. And then even like on the regional scene, there's still stuff that I follow. And
Dude, do you watch midget wrestling?
I have never seen it in
Oh
real
my
life.
God, do you have to go to one? Oh my, okay.
They have them. I think I've seen like even like I don't know if it's like McIntyre's or there's another place like
Okay,
Little Woodrow's.
Yes,
or whatever.
yes. So, dude, the midget wrestling, okay, like these guys, crazy. Like, you know, like I genuinely like, it really like just tripped me out watching like, you know, like 4-foot midgets just fly across the ring with each other. And
Yeah.
like it was funny, honestly. Like, you know, like I know people, but it's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah.
You know,
I would definitely check it out.
Oh yeah, and it's people get crazy. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm sure. Yeah.
And then like, you know, like the the midget, like, you know, wrestlers, like they're like pretty intense. Like they take that to whole different level, I guess. What you would call it.
Well, they're even still like they're putting their bodies on the line and stuff. I've never seen it, but I just watching wrestling. There's my buddy actually started a promotion, Right Wrestling Federation, and then there's some another promotion that we used to work with. We used to film and broadcast their stuff and put it on YouTube just because it was kind of fun and it's different. And actually, we've met a lot of good people in our industry that will work with us now, but they're just fans of wrestling. And then the way they found to get into it is like, I'll go help you film and edit and stuff. And it's just something they can be a part of. But it's more than just like the wrestling. For what they do is like, hey, it's the storylines and the character build up. And they do a really good job of trying to connect with the fans, because even as they get older, these dudes are wrestling into their 50s, right? It's like they can't do what they did whenever they were 22, 25 years old, physically, but they can still tell a story and they can talk on the mic and communicate in a way that gets people to care about what they're doing.
And one thing about midget wrestling, though, I mean, you haven't been, but the shows are kind of short.
That's good to know. I guess time wise, I think it was Little Woodrow's. I think that was advertising stuff, which they just built one like right up here, and NASA in 45 or so.
I mean, I haven't been, because the first start of this year, I've
you've been focused, you've been on it,
sober, like like that's one thing. Like they always talk about it, like if you can't do a whole camp sober, like don't fight, like you can't be smoking, drinking, eating bad,
right?
Like I'm not saying like like, oh, you can't have like a a good meal, like no, you have a good meal, but like don't be getting McDonald's, don't be eating Cane's, like stay away from the sugary sodas, like just take care of your body, like and that's why like the beginning of this year I knew I was gonna fight in March, and I was like, all right, like awesome, great, literally beginning of this year, cut out everything, and I was just strictly like just to myself, didn't go out, didn't do much. People want to do this or that, I'm like, nope. I even worked the cook-off, the Houston cook-off, and then everyone drinks there,
right.
like and there's tons of brisket, there's tons of, and I'm just chilling, I had my water, had juice, and I was actually working it, so like even if I wanted to drink, I wasn't going to.
Right.
And of course I had a little bit of brisket, but like I'm not gonna pig out because I was like 4 weeks out. So I was
stuff
like,
is so good though.
Oh my
brisket,
God.
barbecue,
dude. The cook off.
Yeah,
that place was just the smells in general. Like it was. I mean, you all smell some bad stuff too. Like you walk by, like one of the porta potties, and you got some drunk person just completely just losing it in there. And then like the pit masters, those guys, man, they spend like all week out there, and I'm like, bro. But the thing is, you come home and your clothes smell like smoke, like barbecue smoke, and it's nasty. And I think the best thing I had out there was like the garlic Parmesan wings with Alabama white sauce.
Yeah, they're cooking all day, right? And then it's like, hey, this is our competition stuff. But then it's like, here's stuff just for everybody to eat. Here's the beans and the rice and whatever else you can think of. Oh, it's breakfast. Oh, it's already lunch. There's so much stuff, and it's always good.
Yeah, and I was never really a rodeo type person, but I mean, being around there, especially working it, I mean, you see some nice things, and then like, I was working like the front door, like a little bit of security, but they had cops. So like, I was just working the front door, whatever. And you'd be surprised about people that want to get into tents. Like, like I had this one girl, she came up to me, she's like, what do I got to do to get into your tent? I was like, I mean, nothing unless you have a ticket, you know, like, and it was just like, just things, happen. And I'm like, people take this very seriously.
Yeah. It's like I guess, okay, so for the Houston, I went one time, and this was probably like 2018 or so, and we actually did a broadcast from there inside one of the tents. And it was in the daytime, but I know like at night it's like they're like partying and stuff. They're like, "Oh, come by." I was like, "No,
oh, dude, yeah, they go off."
Yeah, I was like, "No, I'm good. I'm just gonna come here, broadcast. We'll eat and do stuff." Actually, something I remember about that day, before we went, we stopped at a Kroger, and I had to get some gas in my car. I went inside. I think I got some fruit or something like that to eat from Kroger, just because I didn't know what was going on. And my card got skimmed at the gas pump. And so
Wait, like someone stole your information?
yeah, so then like by the time I got back from the rodeo, there was all these charges all up and down, up and down my card. So at the gas pump or something happened.
Man.
So that was a bummer, but it was, the banks are, pretty good about it now. I just like put a hold on my card for a bit and had to get a new card. That's probably the most frustrating part about having that stuff happen is like, man, I got everything on auto pay. Everybody does now. It's like, just take it out the account. I don't even want to know, right? Yeah. And then it's like, okay, what is this gym membership? Is this what's this card paying for that I have to is about to get shut off? Like a car wash tag or whatever else.
So it was a Kroger gas station?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's the only place I used my card.
That's crazy because usually gas stations, especially ones that are like with grocery stores, you don't have to worry about their card.
Right.
I had that same thing happen to me too. I used, and I don't want to be rude, but I boycott Stripes because that's the only place that has ever my card information got stolen, and since then, never went to a Stripes.
Yeah,
$400 lot came out of my account. This was like, I was like 18. It was a while. I was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was trying to fill up my car.
Yeah.
And the next day, I saw a charge $400, and I was like, what was this? And
that's crazy. Like even I look at, with people who are scamming and doing that stuff, they do the same thing because we do the pay-per-view broadcast for Elevate. We do it for some other promotions as well. How they make these fake profiles and they mirror like Elevate Fighting Championship.
I saw that.
This is the only place to watch the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And then they try and get people to sign up. Oh, it's free, but put your card in for it and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, how much money are y'all making from running these scams?
Dude,
where they do that?
I really like scammers. They really are like the bottom tier of people that like I just don't like. Right, I don't hate nobody, but I really don't like scammers because like one, like someone like me, I'm more tech savvy, so like I'm not gonna fall for like the reply yes and we can approve you for this and that, or like if you send us your iCloud information, we're gonna I'm not gonna do that, but like scamming like old people that don't know.
For sure, yeah,
like,
they're just trying to watch. It's like someone's grandma trying to watch them fight, and they say like, oh, here's the link, it's right here under, and it looks like the page, but it's not, it has like 0 followers and all this stuff.
Chris make a post about the fake Elevate count that was going around. I was like,
there's been multiple. Yeah.
Multiple?
Every promotion, like we'll work with El Tigre, for boxing, Dominion Muay Thai, Texas Muay Thai. There's these different promotions we work with. Every single one has these accounts that get made and mirror all these real accounts, and then they take the fight poster and put a link on there, and
I really do wonder how much they get paid.
Yeah, well, and then I think about it, because I guess they just need one person. If they get one person to do it, like let's say then they take $400 out, like they did, a charge on your card, then it's like, okay, sweet, it's worth it. But if they get multiple people too, then it's messed up though.
Yeah,
we got to stop that. Yeah, well, outside of fighting, you're talking a little bit about your goals, but and school and stuff, and I guess like working with. But can those two tie together?
Yeah. I've always wanted my own gym. That's always something I've dreamed about.
Mm-hmm.
Especially meeting people and that I knew personally that have their own gyms. So eventually, working in occupational therapy, I want to be able to help fighters, people that do combative sports in general. And occupational therapy deals with people gaining their life skills back. But you could also use that to just help people rehabilitate their bodies for any means. If I'm able to help someone who's had major surgery on their knee, I can help them rehabilitate it to maybe not the exact way it was before, but get you to where like, okay, like like I feel better, I can train, I can do this and that, and then not only that, but I can live my life without pain, because pain is like the number one thing that people will succumb to for any type of, painkillers, drugs and stuff like that, alcohol. So if I'm able to take someone's pain away without a chemical substance, without any type of foreign things that can alter your mind, I'd love to do that.
That's
and
awesome.
I want to do that for people that do this, because, that's why I'm immersing myself into it. I'm embracing everything, like, for as long as I can in my, fight career. I want to be able to embrace everything, learn everything, soak it up, so that when it's my time and I'm able to give back to another generation, I'll give them everything that I learned plus more, show them like, hey, this is exactly what I did. You shouldn't do that. Or, like, you should do this. And, just pass along the same thing that my coach gave to us, even though he wasn't, any type of physical therapist or anything like that. I mean, he knew everything. I felt like he knew everything. I said something about an injury, he knew exactly what it was, and, he was, I don't know, he was just a different type of guy. And he would always say, you're going to miss this whenever I'm dead and gone. And I'm like, what is he talking about? Why are you saying that? But, now to this day, I'm like, wow, like, really wish he was here. Wow. And, but yeah, and hopefully, in the near future, I'm able to have my own gym, have my own fighters, and be able to continue to do things that I love and pass down the same things I was given.
Awesome. Is there anything else? Anything else you want to share?
I mean, I would say the only thing else I want to share is just to tune in. Every time I fight or compete, y'all come watch. I mean, I'm here to put on a show. I'm here to have fun with it. And I just want to make my name out here.
So you got 2 highlight reel finishes, the 2 times that you've been on that big stage.
I'm going for a highlight. Like, I'm going out there to finish somebody. If I line up against you, if I get paired against you, I'm going to finish you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens in my mind.
Man, that just reminded me, going back to Jacob Silva for a little bit, I remember seeing that post he made. He was like, there's going to be a finish. Did you read what he said? Yes. I'm obviously paraphrasing. He's like, it's not going to go all, it's not going to be 3-round fight or whatever it is. There's going to be a finish. Either he's getting knocked out, I'm getting knocked out. I promise it was going to be a show.
Yeah. I mean, like, but the thing is that, like, someone that has that much experience, someone that has that much, like, credibility, plus the guy he's fighting is really good too, be real about it.
Right.
Some guys, they try to hide all of their insecurities or their, like, their nervousness or their anxiousness by, kind of being more of like a tough guy, and I'm just like, hey man, like, we're all human,
Yeah.
like, and my thing is, I truly feel like, if you're another human being that's fighting the same weight as me, fighting in the same league, same, level, I mean, there should be nothing to fear, right? Of course everybody has nerves, but, if you accept that and you understand what can happen, nothing's going to really bother you when it comes down to it. Because if you've already expected and seen what can happen, then like, all right, I can do everything in my power to make this happen or this happen. But whatever happens, happens. And that's how it is. And, Jacob's a guy that he's seen pretty much everything there is. So, saying something like that, I mean, that means something.
Yeah.
And, and I want to emulate some of those guys, like, being able to finish and being able to, I really want to get a knockout. Like, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, but I really want to get a knockout. So my next fight will be pretty interesting on how they see me with my striking. But, my next jiu-jitsu pro grappling match, finish, that's the point of being out there, just to finish somebody. And, every time I step out there, I want to make a statement, want to make something where people want to watch you, not like, oh man, like, sorry I missed your fight, or nah, like, they will drop everything to come see you fight. Like, my whole family came out to see me fight, and that was crazy. I had like literally like 40, almost 50 people from my family come in there, and like, it was something. But yeah, I'm ready to make some things pop.
Awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on the show.
Scardy with Clear Life Combat. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned.